Theology of biblical counseling by making an assertion that is controversial, and that is that counseling is a theological exercise. Counseling, by the very definition of it, is theological in nature. There's a text that we can think of when we think about counseling and theology. In 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 8 to 11, it says, "We know that the law is good if one uses it lawfully, realizing the fact that law is not made for a righteous person, but for those who are lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly and sinners, for the unholy and profane, for those who kill their fathers or mothers, for murderers, and immoral men, and homosexuals, and kidnappers, and liars, and perjurers, and whatever else is contrary to sound teaching, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God with which I've been entrusted." There, the Apostle Paul is talking to his mentee in ministry, and he's talking about sound doctrine. He's talking about theology. And as he talks about sound doctrine and what's contrary to sound doctrine, he talks about all of these really practical realities. He talks about people who are having trouble in their homes. He talks about people who are having sexual difficulties. He talks about people who are struggling with righteousness and rebellion. These are the issues of life that bring people in for counseling, and Paul frames all of them in theological categories. When we say that counseling is theological, we're merely agreeing with the scriptures that the practical areas of life are rooted and anchored in the doctrine of God and the truth of the Word of God. But it is quite true. Counseling is theological in nature. That's why I wanted to write the book, A Theology of Biblical Counseling, because I want to show Christians in particular, but anybody else who wants to pay attention, that when God gives us doctrine, when God gives us theology, as it's revealed to us in the pages of His Word, He's giving us categories about which to think about counseling. And so that is the nature of theology. It is what the whole Bible teaches us today about any given topic. That's what theology is. But if we're going to talk about a theology of counseling and a theology of biblical counseling, then we need to understand the nature of counsel. Here's my definition of counseling. Counseling is a conversation where one party with questions, problems, and trouble seeks assistance from someone they believe has answers, solutions, and help. Whenever somebody has questions, problems, and trouble, and they go to somebody who has answers and solutions and help, they're doing counseling. You can have a degree to do that, you can be good at it or bad at it, but people are doing counseling all the time whenever they have these kinds of conversations. Here is a crucial reality for us to understand. Counseling is theological. That conversation has to do with what the whole Bible teaches, because that vision of reality, that worldview, is always theological. God knows who people are, and He tells us who we are in the Bible. God is the expert. He is the world's leading authority on people, and He reveals what He knows in the Bible. God also understands what is wrong with people. He's the leading authority on trouble, and He reveals what is wrong with people in the Word of God. God also understands how to fix what is wrong. He is a problem-solving God, and He reveals in the pages of His Word how to solve the problems that people face. And so the job of Christians who would counsel, is to offer counseling wisdom based on a worldview that is as consistent with the Scriptures as it's possible to be. And that's where a theology of biblical counseling comes in. We want to pay attention to what God has revealed about who we are, what's wrong with us, and how to fix it, and then try to figure out how to connect those answers to people who are in pain.